exploring quantum ethics and the modern horsemen of transformation. Today I'll be reading Chapter 1, which talks about the mechanics of meaning and the triumph of good. Now we're going to look at the core tenets, the superposition, waveforms, and value dynamics of quantum ethics, the dynamics of value shift, why evil spreads quickly and goodness takes time, and the crossover and the final collapse, the triumph of good. Then the aesthetics as an outcome, and applying quantum ethics to the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So first, we're going to look at quantum ethics, the mechanics of meaning, and the triumph of good. In a world often defined by chaos and suffering, the pursuit of meaning and beauty can seem like a fragile endeavor easily overshadowed by forces of destruction. Yet, what if these acts of creation and transformation are not merely emotional responses, but fundamental interactions with the very fabric of reality? What if the universe itself is attuned to the resonance of our choices, recording them in a profound, energetic way? This is the essence of quantum ethics, a novel philosophical framework that bridges the seemingly disparate realms of quantum mechanics, existential philosophy, and utilitarian aesthetics. Drawing inspiration from the inherent uncertainty and potential of the quantum world, I propose that our ethical and aesthetic choices dynamically shape reality, determining whether experience collapses into enduring meaning or disperses into ephemeral chaos. It offers a compelling explanation for why destruction often spreads with terrifying speed, while true goodness takes time, effort, and conscious cultivation to reveal its true, full, transformative power. The core tenets: superposition, waveforms, and value dynamics. At the heart of quantum ethics lies the understanding that the universe, at its most fundamental level, atomic, quantum, is a realm of constant movement and energetic interplay. As outlined previously in the core ideas, this isn't just about physical displacement, but includes the unseen shifting of particles, the stirring of air, and the subtle realignments of perception and energy. So, every thought, every gesture, or emotional shift contributes to these energetic movements in this way. Beauty is not merely aesthetic, it is energetic. Goodness as superposition, the latent potential, the 0.5 value. In quantum theory, a particle exists in a state of superposition, simultaneously holding multiple possibilities until it's observed, or measured, at which point its wave function collapses into a definite state. A classic analogy is Schrodinger's cat, which is simultaneously alive and dead until the box is opened. In quantum ethics, goodness resides in a similar state of superposition. It is the latent potential within any experience, a promise of meaning, beauty, and positive transformation. And this initial state of good can be assigned a metaphorical value of 0.5. It is not yet fully formed, not fully manifested, but it holds the inherent possibility of flourishing. Mathematically, this can be represented in its initial state of potential goodness as a wave function, so taking good in its initial state with a half value, as it hasn't collapsed, it's in a superposition. This means that while the situation could become good, it requires conscious observation and interaction, a deliberate opening of the box, or Pandora's box, for that potential to be realized. This explains why goodness often seems subtle or slow to emerge. It does not impose itself, but waits for conscious engagement. An observer. Next, evil as the propagating waveform, the immediate impact, which has a 1 value. Conversely, evil in this framework manifests a powerful propagating waveform initially holding a value of just 1. It is the path of least resistance, Occam's razor. The scream or the destruction requires less effort, less energy, and yields a quicker, often violent emotional release. This waveform spreads rapidly, creating chaos, disharmony, and vibrations across systems. Its dominance is immediate and overt. We can represent this initial forceful state of evil as evil in its initial state with a value of 1. As I explained before, this 1 value signifies its immediate high-energy impact, its ability to quickly disrupt and overwhelm. It does not need conscious cultivation. It simply is a raw, undirected force that consumes energy rather than creating it. Evil has a value of 1, but it doesn't create beauty. The dynamics of value shifts why evil spreads quickly and goodness takes time. This inherent difference in initial value and nature explains the observed phenomena of the world. This is why evil spreads quickly. The 1 value waveform of evil propagates rapidly because it aligns with entropy, the natural tendency toward disorder. It's the easiest choice, the default reaction to pain with bitterness or destruction. This takes less effort, less energy, and yields quicker emotional release. Like a ripple in a pond, it spreads without resistance, demanding very little internal work or meaning-making from the individual, the observer, or the system. Its high initial value is a deceptive allure of immediate, albeit destructive, impact. But why does goodness take time to show its true colors? Goodness, starting at its 0.5 superposition, 0.5, half of that of evil, requires conscious engagement and an investment in energy to collapse it into a fixed, meaningful reality. This involves creating it consciously and carefully, rather than relying solely on others to define meaning for us. This process slows time, costs personal energy, but ultimately saves energy for the group and increases the beauty experienced by the wider whole. The effort of transformation, of shaping the uninformed raw or the undirected ugliness into beauty, is a deliberate act that gradually increases the value of goodness. This transformative growth of goodness can be conceptually modeled. Let the value of goodness in time, and energy time, be the value of evil at time t. The equations are up there. So, G-O 0.5 and evil O 1. Evil's propagation is exponential and rapid due to low barriers to entry. Et equals E0 times 1 with R spread to the power of T, where R spread is a high rate of spontaneous destruction. Goodness's growth is cumulative, driven by conscious effort, as seen in this equation. Goodness, time, with initial value times K, which is then the effort, constant representing efficiency of transformation. The critical insight is that while evil's spread is effortless and immediate, its ultimate value is limited. Goodness, though it requires conscious effort and time to build, inherently possesses the capacity to surpass and redefine the overall system's energetic balance. Lastly, the crossover and the final cloud, the triumph of good. The turning point occurs when the sustained deliberate efforts to create good allow its value to not just match the seeming dominant 1 value of evil, but to surpass it, plus 1. This is the moment when goodness catches up eventually to the 1 and surpasses evil. And when this happens, the universe, as if making a measurement, forces the unstable high-energy evil waveform to also undergo a collapse. It is true, limited, and ultimately unintegrated nature is revealed. The evil waveform, which initially appeared as the forceful 1, collapses to 0.5. It loses its propagating power and is revealed as mere noise, a chaotic residue that cannot form lasting structure or beauty. The real waveform of its impact, once the energy has dissipated or been transformed, is understood as a lesser transient force compared to the enduring nature of good. Lastly, I just wanted to talk about aesthetics as an outcome, structure versus chaos. In quantum ethics, the aesthetic dimension is not separate from the ethical or energetic. Beauty is a process, a form of meaning-making emerging from the way that we interpret and interact with experience. It is the fixed form, the clarity, the art that results from the collapse of a positive superposition. Ugliness can simply be the uninformed, the unformed, the raw, or the undirected. When chaos collapses into integrated beauty, it represents an energetic saving or energetic saving for the whole system or the aggregate. Goodness creates fixed forms. When the 0.5 value of good is constantly chosen and cultivated, it collapses into enduring structures, be it art, meaningful relationships, or resilient systems, think society, or culture, or local communities. Evil leaves chaotic vibrations, so the one value waveform of evil, upon its collapse to 0.5, half that of 1, leaves behind only chaotic residue. It does not integrate or build, it is the noise that fades, unable to generate lasting form or meaning. Think of waves in the ocean. The easiest thing to do is to become a ripple, become a storm, and then eventually wash up on a beach into nothing. Not to say waves aren't beautiful, they are. Applying quantum ethics to the four horsemen, which is where it gets interesting. Here I want to examine the four horsemen of the apocalypse through the new lens, understanding them not merely as external calamities, but as initial one-value waveforms of chaos that through conscious human response can be ultimately diminished. So, the first one is the white horse, which is conquest, deception. The initial waveform value 1 appears as a deceptive promise of order or dominance, or a conquering force. This is a one-value waveform of imposed narratives, propaganda, and subtle control. It is a loud, seemingly unified message that seeks to define reality for others, drawing energy from the system through fear or manipulation. The second is the red horse, which is war, bloodshed. Value of 1. In its initial waveform, war erupts as an undeniable high-energy one-value waveform of destruction. It is the ultimate scream of pain and rage, propagating chaos and tearing apart the fabric of peace. The third is the black horse, which is famine, economic distress. An initial waveform of 1, famine and economic distress manifests as pervasive one-value waveform of scarcity and imbalance. The chaotic vibration reflects the breakdown of equitable systems, leading to widespread hunger and hardship. And the fourth one is the pale horse, death, pestilence. With an initial waveform value of 1, the pale horse embodies death and pestilence, brings a terrifying one-value waveform of ultimate finality and loss. A pandemic, for example, is an overwhelmingly powerful vibration of sickness that consumes individual waveforms of life, ending them in how they are. In conclusion, quantum ethics as articulated through these principles offers a compelling narrative for understanding the world's challenges. It asserts that the quick, destructive spread of evil is a consequence of its high initial waveform value and the path of least resistance, Occam's razor. However, it equally posits that true goodness, though it begins at a subtle 0.5 value, half that of evil, superposition through conscious choice, deliberate action, and the investment of personal energy, can not only gain momentum, but also ultimately force the collapse of chaos, transforming it into endured fixed forms of meaning and beauty. This is the radical act of creating from sadness not a stream, but a sculpture, a whisper that bends the atom, making beauty a fundamental act of survival and of profound form of care. That's my overview and a beginning introduction to quantum ethics. I've tried to put some of the equations and some of the mathematical formulae onto the screen. You can read more on Kindle. It's actually free for the next 4 days. There is a printed version. Plus, you can also find a link down below to the academia.edu website where I will be talking about it. Future papers will go into more mathematical detail. This is just a very quick overview, just some initial ideas that I had and that I wanted to share with the community. Thank you.